नमस्कार, आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. Warm welcome to all the viewers and learners on this live interactive session of CIET NCERT. You all are watching us on eVidya channel number 11, and apart from this you also watching us on our official YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. My name is Srijan Rajput and this is, as I told, live interactive session of NCERT. So there are so many mediums to connect with us, but beyond this we have a special topic for this particular session. We are going to learn sociology on this session, and the topic is social stratification. So this is an important topic if you are learning in class 11 sociology. So we are going to start on this topic, and if you have any queries and questions on your mind regarding this topic, so feel free to connect with us. So you can make a call to us on the number is also on flashing on your screen. It's 8800440559. And apart from this medium, you can write a mail to us on dth.class11@ciet.nic.in. Another medium is if you're watching us on NCERT Official, and there is a live chat box option. Please feel free to comment there your topic, your question, queries on this. So we have a topic and we have it with you also. So let's start with introducing our today's guest. Ma'am, Professor Rajya Lakshmi is with us. Ma'am, नमस्कार, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
Thank you so much.
मैम का परिचय आप सभी के साथ साझा करना चाहूँगी. मैम सोशियोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट से हैं, जानकी देवी मेमोरियल कॉलेज, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी, नई दिल्ली से. So ma'am, if we are going to learn this topic on sociology, how important topic is this to learn for viewers and learners?
You know, this is one concept which is very important for all students to learn and remember.
Okay.
Because we all live in the society which makes us be present, or you can say that, you know, all the time we talk about differences, we talk about inequalities. So as a student of sociology, it is very important that the basic concept should be very clear and we should all be aware of it. So it's you know, it's something which is there as long as you're going to study sociology in future as well.
Okay. So ma'am, first of all I want to know what is the difference between difference and inequality, because both are the, I think, different terms when we are going to learn in sociology.
Absolutely. But before that, I would just like to give a brief introduction about how the concept came into existence or emergence.
Yes,
now the term social stratification came into existence in the year 1940s. So 1940 is the time where people started looking at the society and felt that it is very important to define and develop a concept called social stratification. And the idea came from the earth crust, that is the way the earth is divided, and each part of the earth is very important and contributes in a most significant manner. Similarly, they felt that in the society there are different layers, and these layers are actually very important to be studied, and then the term came from there, because the term social stratification refers to the presence and existence of different layers in the society. Now, social inequality refers to gain of one over the other. That is, we often say that I have more than you, so I am, above you. So that is inequality. Whereas differences are just the presence of differences. The differences could be, the difference of age, it could be the difference of sex, it could be the difference of the way in which you are having economic presence in the society. Social stratification is a particular form of inequality, and this is a very wide concept which is inclusive of social inequality. In the society, there are two types of inequalities, or you can say, natural inequalities and social inequalities. Natural inequalities are naturally which are present. Say, for example, there is inequality because of the differences in color, which is race, sex, that is biological differences, which are there naturally, right? You are born as a man, you are born as a female. Then you are like talking about as a fact that you are fair or dark. So those are natural inequalities. Social inequalities are some inequalities which are created within the society. that is the society creates. Now, as a student of sociology, the most popular definition of social stratification is that social stratification refers to the presence or unequal distribution of power, prestige and wealth. Now, what is power?
Yes.
Power is a capacity to influence the outcome of an event. That is, suppose in case, I will just give an example, suppose if there are two people,
Okay.
or maybe there is a student and a teacher. Now, the student says that today you have to complete your work. The students may come up and say, no, because, there is festival coming up, we are not prepared, we don't want to do it. There could be a number of reasons. But if the teacher is able to get the outcome, in the sense that if she is able to get the work out of the students, it means that the teacher has power over the students. Suppose the reverse happens, like the students, they manage to convince the teacher that, look, we don't want to do the work, and today we have decided, and they convince the teacher, then it means the students have power over the teacher. So, it is the definition or the understanding is that power refers to the capacity to change the outcome. That is what is power, and that is very important part of the differences in the society. The other is the prestige. Prestige is the esteem, the value which you have in the society. That is, you belong to a royal family, that kind of a status, prestige.
So that it means judged by their financial conditions.
It could be your, finance is wealth. It could be your social prestige, maybe, because you have gained something, you are very beautiful,
okay,
or you belong to a royal family,
yes,
something which has been there, prestige, right? Then the third, of course, is wealth, that is your actual material possession, which is very, very important, and very important material things, that is on the basis of which your position in the society can be defined. So, I repeat myself, social stratification refers to the unequal distribution of power. I explain the concept, prestige and wealth. So, these are very, very important. Now, unlike the popular understanding, integration यानी कि सब लोगों को साथ लेके रखना, any society where you are expecting that the people should live together, there should be an inclusive society, it is here that the differences come. This is here that the need for stratification arises. हम लोग ये कहते हैं कि society में differences हैं, that is why there is stratification. No, that is not the correct. It is because the people want, जैसे for example in US people say, in US the understanding is that there is equality. Everybody is given an equal chance to be equal. Inclusiveness. It is here that the racial differences emerge because no society, remember students, no society, simple, complex, developed, underdeveloped, no society is free from social stratification. That is, no society is egalitarian, equal. कहीं पे भी इक्वालिटी नहीं है, चाहे वो सिंपल, जब मैं कहती हूँ सिंपल सोसाइटीज, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय सिंपल सोसाइटीज? सिंपल सोसाइटी मीन्स वेयर द स्केल एंड टेक्नोलॉजी small हो. Scale means number of people, technologies, that is simple technology. So, here also there is a system of stratification, that is there are inequalities, that is something which is really there. Developed societies, of course there are inequalities at in many ways. We will discuss about the forms of social stratification one by one, because there are many forms of social stratification which are seen in societies. Okay. Then rural areas, urban areas, kahin pe bhi. So, earlier people used to say that in simple societies there was no system of stratification. In tribal societies,
okay,
जो हम कहते हैं कि there are egalitarian, there also the system of stratification exists. Say for example, there is one society where hunting and gathering is the most important activity, hunting, right?
Okay.
So, those who go on hunting and bring the best hunt are given the larger portion of the hunt. जैसे यूजुअली ट्राइबल सोसाइटीज में कहते हैं ना egalitarian, egalitarian का मतलब equality, there everybody is considered equal. Or tribal societies, you must have read in your chapters in the 11th standard that tribal societies are homogeneous societies. That is, they all have the same beliefs, same practices. It's a society which is very, very similar or simple, or there is no inequalities. But there also inequalities exist, and inequality exists in terms of the way in which you practice your means of livelihood, or in some societies the chief, usko kuch nahi, if nothing else he is given certain symbols like a crown, which also becomes a symbol of inequalities. So these are very, very important. Now 3 things I have said. Number 1, that social stratification is universal, yani ki it is present in all societies, it is present at all times. The study of the social stratification began from 1940s. As students of sociology, it is very, very important that you must learn the difference between the concepts of inequality and stratification and differences. Okay, these are very, very important. And social stratification is a structural feature of any society. Structural feature का क्या मतलब हुआ? Structural feature यानी कि structure के how it is made up of, the composition of the society. Say for example, in our society, the main composition is the caste system. So stratification becomes the structural feature of our society. American society is class or racial based. So it is, the differences is seen in terms of class or race. So these are very, very important ways of understanding. Now we will talk about the different forms of inequalities or different forms of social stratification.
Yes,
one by one.
Before moving this topic, I also want to know what is the difference between stratification and inequality.
I just said, and I repeat myself, that inequality is gain of one over the other.
Yes.
Okay, that's say what do you have, what do I have, that is inequality. I have more than you or I have less than you, inequalities. Stratification is placement of individuals यानी कि लोगों का और समूह का, groups का in different layers, which means that social stratification is a broader term, a bigger term, and social stratification is the layers, and these layers का जो difference है, it could be based on the differences of power, it could be on the basis of status, that is the prestige, or it could be on the basis of the economic wealth. So that is the basic difference. So I think we have been able to understand certain concepts. If any students have any questions with regard to this, we can ask, otherwise I will move forward to forms of inequalities.
Yes ma'am. Next forms
of inequalities. Forms of inequalities may we have different forms such as caste, class, race, ethnicity and gender. I will go one by one. Caste. Now caste has got 2 aspects to it. I mean, we understand the caste from the 2 points of view, right? From the structural point of view and from the cultural point of view. Structural point of view का क्या मतलब है कि the way the society is structured. Now most of the time we say that the caste is very, very unique to the Indian society. Yani it is only in the Indian society that we have the caste system, and this caste is not present in the other societies outside India. That is not the truth, because many societies, though they might not be having the caste like features, but there are differences like the way the caste is, which I will discuss it in detail. So then again I will come back to how caste is also seen in the other forms of these things. As I said, that caste has got there are 2 ways of understanding the caste, the structural or the cultural. Now what do you mean by the structural? As I said, the structural refers to the way in which the society is structured, यानी made up of. जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं कि the structure of the building is like this. So what is it that the way the building is composed, what it composed of, the floors, the stairs, everything. So that is what is the structure of these things. Now Cultural is the way of life. Culture is way of life, the way in which we tend to examine or we look at the ways in which. Now, caste is something which is an institution, it is an institution, matlab it is a very broad way in which it governs us, and it is skin deep. Skin deep means it is deep down in our minds. As a structure, it is that there is a segmental division of the society, that is people are based in different layers, where the Brahmins occupy the top position, followed by the Kshatriyas, followed by Vaishyas, followed by Shudras, and the untouchables are below that, there are like that. Now, there are two terms here, the caste, which is actually referred or seen or understood in terms of the Varna model, that is the text, in the way in which the text it's mentioned, and the jatis, which are more functional, that is the way in which people tend to interact with one another, they do it on the basis of the jatis. Now, the first reference of the caste is there in our Rig Veda, where it is mentioned very clearly that the different castes have emerged from the different parts of Brahma. Like from the head have emerged the Brahmins, from the shoulders the Kshatriyas, that is the shoulders part, then the middle, from the legs Vaishyas, and from the feet Shudras. On the basis of all these, the various aspects are divided, and that is something which is so much important in the Indian society. This form of social stratification explains the way in which the individuals interact in the Indian society. Say, because the Brahmins come from the head, so what happens is that all aspects, as I said, that there is a way of understanding, the cultural way of understanding the caste system. Cultural way of understanding the caste system का मतलब है कि way of life, किस तरह से you are actually doing or your activities, how you are conducting your life, किस तरह से. So, what is there in your life? Very broadly you tell me, it is A, your occupation, yes or no?
Yes.
The other one is the rituals which we practice. Two is the marriage. And how do we interact with one another.
Yes.
So, what is way of life? The cultural aspect of the caste system is the way of life. So, to begin with, what happens is the occupation. Now, each caste is associated with a traditional occupation. A, हमने ये कह दिया कि there is a segmental division, that is society में there is a division, and the division is such that it is based on the occupation. So, occupation में क्या है? So, Brahmins is, as I said, that the Brahmins have emerged from the head of the Brahma. तो head क्या होता है? Intellectual activities, study the Vedas, take the professions which is like education, the upper, the pure jobs, right? Then from the shoulders emerges Kshatriyas. So, we often see, I am sure अगर आप सोचोगे कहीं पे भी TV में पढ़ोगे, magazines में पढ़ोगे या अपने friends से बात करोगे, तो most of the people are Rajputs or are all fighting in the army today, or at that time they were with the kings fighting, or they were the rulers.
Yes.
The rulers. So, the second one are the rulers, those who rule, or today, or the soldiers, or they fight in the army and like that. Then comes the third caste, which is the Vaishyas, that is they are merchants, traders. So, they legs say, so movement from one place to another place, movements like that. So, the caste, each caste is associated with an occupation, and the impure activities are done by the Shudras. Shudras, untouchable, the word untouchable of course is removed from the constitution, that is it is now legally not permitted to use the word, and you cannot practice this. However, if you actually look at it, in most of the areas you have that the most important people who are doing the most important occupations are placed in the center. And the villages, if you go to the villages, even the villages, in almost all the villages of India are structured in such a manner that the most important, that is the upper caste, occupy the center. And as you go towards the periphery, यानी कि center से जैसे जैसे आप periphery में से move करते हो, the caste status gets reduced. So, the upper caste occupy the center, and they say, and the way of life was such which now it is not practiced, but the low caste people who are very, very important and performed very important roles used to come into the village only either early in the morning before people woke up or late night. And whenever they used to come, they used to beat the drums and either have a broom behind them to say that when they are walking, they are cleaning along with it. These were the practice, some of the practices which were present earlier in our ancient India. After the constitution was drafted, when the untouchability was removed, and there were lots of awareness and people started talking about it, we do have these certain practices becoming little more diluted than what they were earlier. But if you look around you, as I said, occupation and is something which is very, very closely associated with each caste. The other is the marriage. Now, in Indian society, caste, all people get married within their own caste. The caste plays a very important role in marriages, which is referred to as caste endogamy. You often see that even in the ancient text, a girl from the higher caste could never marry a boy from the low caste, but a man from the higher caste could get married to a girl from the low caste. That was permitted. Till date, if you see, अगर आप honor killing देते आज के उसमें भी, if you look at the honor killing, if you look at the way in which the intercaste marriages are there, you often see that it is the boy who belongs to the upper caste, and so therefore, and then why? Because see, what happens is that the population, it's that you get married a girl, you are actually giving away the fertility rate, her capacity to produce the number, and it is here that number also plays a very, very important role. The caste gains its strength, and this caste are gaining its strength because of its dominance is one word which is known as dominant caste, coined by M.N. Srinivas, which as students you will be reading it later in your 12th standard or probably when you take up sociology at your graduation level. But this is a very, very important concept which will be introduced to you a little later. But for the time being, what I am trying to say is that any caste numerically or economically, when it has got its strength, is able to have a bargaining position. Anyway, the second point, the second feature of the caste which I was talking about is the caste is an endogamy feature, that is everybody gets married within one's own caste. Occupation, caste, then each caste has certain privileges and certain castes which have got certain disabilities. Now, you often see privileges are that you can take water from the well, everybody invites you, you get that social standing if you belong to an upper caste, but if you belong to the lower caste, the practice is in India is such that people do not have that kind of an associate interactions. Food is divided as pure and impure. Vegetarian food is considered to be pure, non-vegetarian food is considered to be impure. Within the non-vegetarian food also fish and goat meat is considered to be purer than the other forms of meats. So, food, dress, festivals, god and goddesses, ornaments, like for example, the upper caste wear gold, the low caste wears silver or any copper, and diamond of course is based on trust. So, it is uncertain, so everybody wears, in order to hide their caste they wear diamonds, but otherwise upper caste people wear gold, the low caste people wear silver. You observe, see, what is very important is that whatever I am saying, if you actually observe, you realize that these are something which is around you. right? So the concept of social stratification, the caste as a form of social stratification, is something which as I was saying, is skin deep, which all of us keep observing around us. Very quickly, I'll shift to the other form of social stratification, which is class. Now, class is purely an economic base, that is the money. Class is money. It's an achieved position, that is you can move your class up on the basis of the amount of wealth, amount of things which you get. It's purely on the basis of economic criteria that you are able to get the classes. Now, also very important is to understand how classes emerge in the society. Now, when we talk about the emergence of society, if I have to ask you, who came first, the hen or the egg?
I think it's a very different, typical question. We cannot give an answer to
There is
this.
no answer to it, because egg cannot come without hen, hen cannot come without
Yes.
egg. Similarly, individual and society. Who came first, who is more important, we do not know. That is why we always say that there were two people, Adam and Eve, man and women. Okay? So, man and women. We never say that man came first, women came first, because it's like hen and egg, or individual or society. Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve came, and there is always, a lot of students must have seen, or wise students, all of us do observe that whenever we talk about Adam and Eve, there is an apple in between. है ना? Apple. What is that apple? Apple is desire. Apple is juice. Apple होता है मीठा, juicy, desire. And it is this desire which makes us interact with one another. We interact in our societies because we have desires. I want to go for a movie, I look for a friend. There has to be a theatre to watch a movie. I want to get away from reality, so therefore there are movies made. I want to eat some food which is not regular food at home, so I go to a restaurant. So creation is because of your desires. You interact with nature to fulfill your desires. So man and women interacted with the nature to fulfill their desires. This is a fundamental thing. यानी आपने कोई भी हो, Adam and Eve, juice उसके साथ, that is apple, desires, उसको fulfill करने के लिए they started interacting with nature. How? So this is how we start. अब all of you must have studied in your history books or earlier civilization में how civilization emerged कि एक आदमी tree के ऊपर बैठा था, he started cutting the tree, right? Sitting on the tree and cut the tree. The branch fell and then it slanted. The moment it slanted, he realized कि anything which is like slanting can move faster. So he invented wheel. है ना?
Yes.
Then what happened? He had two stones. He started rubbing the stones. He realized fire आ गया. So fire से धीरे धीरे और चीजें invent हुई, nature. So man interacted with the nature to fulfill his desires. Three desires are very important. A, touch. B, taste. And three, smell. Touch very important. Why? जब आपको बहुत गुस्सा आता है आप किसी को मारते हो, touch. कोई बहुत दुखी है आप उसको hug करते हो, touch. When you are very somebody holds your hand, you feel happy, that is touch, right? So touch is the basic desire because of which human beings interact. ठीक है? Then smell. We always look for perfumes, we always look better smells. कभी भी हम गंदगी में, that is why we keep looking for things, the way to make things more pleasant, much more acceptable. खुशबू के लिए हम देखते हैं. Then the taste. छोले भटूरे बहुत पसंद है, but you can't eat every day छोले भटूरा. दाल चावल बहुत पसंद है, but you can't eat every day. So taste is another desire because of which you constantly interact with one another, interact with nature. So interaction is because of desires, fulfilling desires. And it is because of this what happened was that man started interacting with one another. So Adam and Eve interacted with the nature, then slowly they moved forward. 2 became 4. 4 became 8, 8 became 16, इस तरह से मल्टीप्लाई हुआ. आपके आर्टिकल्स टेक्नोलॉजी मल्टीप्लाई हुई, आपका न्यूमेरिकल स्ट्रेंथ मतलब आदमी लोग आगे बढ़े. सो what happened was that the numerical strength also improved, so 16 became 32. When people started realizing that it is very difficult to move around with stones, axes, with what they have accumulated because of their desires, they felt it's difficult to move from one place to another place, so they started settling down. We all know that man was a nomad earlier, matlab he didn't know how to produce, so wherever he used to go pick up things, eat and survive, है ना. Then stone से fire, पक्के sharp stone को फेंका, animals got killed. So like this he accumulated. So accumulation बढ़ा, numerical strength यानी कि जनता बढ़ी. So जैसे जैसे जनता बढ़ी, numerical strength बढ़ी, they started thinking that it is important now for them to settle down. So they settled. Now when you settle down, what happens? You occupy an area, and within that area you start working. Now when you realize that you are not able to completely manage on your own, because some people have occupied certain areas where agriculture or the land is more fertile than the others. It happens because all land is not uniform. Some land is more better than the other land. Yes. जैसे हम करते हैं ना, अरे मेरी खेती में तो कुछ उगता ही नहीं है, उसकी खेती में इतना उगता है. Because of the soil, because of the underground, होता है. It's a natural thing that some lands are more fertile than the others. So those lands which were fertile was occupied by certain people. Those were able to do more agriculture. So they got money. So therefore, there were two people, those who had the money, those who did not have the money, right. Then what happened, that they felt that initially they all were working at home, but some people could work, some people could not work. So those who worked could not find work, they went out, so they started working with someone else. So wages, so those who paid wages and those who did not pay wages. So इस तरह से the classes emerged. Am I
yes ma'am, that's very clear. और जब हमारे पास पैसा नहीं था तो वो चीज़ें एक दूसरे को लेकर जो है उन्होंने स्टार्ट किया कि तुम मेरी चीज़ ले लो, मैं तुम्हारा काम कर दूंगा, और
इस तरह से.
clear ma'am.
So this is the way in which the barter system was there, as you rightly mentioned. Then slowly barter system gave way to the money, and money gave way to class system. So the classes emerge in the society like that.
That's a stair and one side.
Yes, one side and the other. So this is how the classes emerge. So class becomes another form of inequality. That is, I have the money, you don't have the money, I have the land, you don't have the land, like that. Wages, I give wages, you receive wages. So if you have to put it in a systematic manner, A, the classes emerged with surplus, that is when you start growing plenty, you have to sell it. So I have money, I sell it out, so I get more money. You don't have, so you can't sell it, so you have less money. Yes. So like that the classes emerged, right?
Right.
So caste and class. Then comes race. Race is color. You are born as a with a particular color, and this is a social practice. Now caste is also a social practice, but caste has got a religious sanction. Why religious sanction? Because it is there in the Rig Veda. And the castes emerge from the different parts of Brahma. Brahma के different parts से caste आए, तो Brahma becomes a creator, तो वो religious text का है, तो it has got a religious justification. Class is a secular term. Now race जो है वो social practice है. Fair person are more superior than the black. Whites are clean than the blacks, the colored people. So this is a social practice and a form of inequality. Wherever in the world you go, if you find a fair person, immediately you say साफ सुथरा होगा, beautiful है, must be intelligent, must be more superior, must be eating clean vegetarian food, like that, right?
Right.
So you know, on a lighter note, if you remember Bajrangi Bhaijaan, the movie, in which the first thing he says, when Salman Khan and Kareena Kapoor start guessing कि छुट्टी किस वास की होगी, he says गोरी है, ब्राह्मण होगी, है ना, सुपीरियर होगी, देन मांस मच्छी तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं खाएगी क्योंकि ब्राह्मण है, you know, like that. That is fair. This is a practice. Fair is beautiful. So this is racial discrimination or racial inequalities. Nowhere scientifically it is proven that the blacks are inferior, their IQ level is less, or they're unclean. It is a social practice. That is one of the reasons why we have Nelson Mandela as one of the very, very important person, a social activist. He fought against the racial discrimination in the US, South Africa, everywhere. Because scientifically it is not proven that if you have curly hair, or if you have brown hair, or if you have white hair, it makes it. Remember, racial features refers to your skin color, refers to your physical features, refers to the texture of your hair, the composition of your blood as well. That is both obvious. Slowly I will tell that racial differences can be both obvious differences, physical differences which are both obvious and non-obvious. It's physical differences, right?
Yeah.
So black, white, brown and all. This is a very common thing. You go to many countries, you see that, you know, there are this, and this is a social practice. So that is why it is not something which is like natural, it's a social practice. Then we come to ethnicity. Ethnicity refers to the differences in terms of cultural practices, language. Okay, one can one can change one's ethnic group, but one cannot change one's racial group. Ethnicity is cultural. जैसे for example language होता है. कई लोग बोलते हैं ना, तू इधर आ, तुम इधर आओ, वो cultural है, लेकिन तू और तुम में there's a lot of difference. They say जो तुम बुलाता है is more respectful, जो तू बुलाता है it is unrespectful. Whereas in some societies तू का मतलब familiarity. But language is seen as one form of ethnic symbol on the basis of which you know recently
like we said आप आइए,
आप आइए
या फिर तू आजा.
आजा. तो actually आप आइए का क्या मतलब हुआ? Respect. तू आ जाइए means familiarity. Now which is more important, familiarity or respect?
But in English we have a same word, you.
You.
Yes.
Yes. So that is the difference. So ethnicity is cultural differences, language, festivals, religion, you know, on the basis of that you say superior or inferior. What your religion says, what your text is there. So it's like that. So ethnicity is the differences on the basis of culture. Gender, which is the most important in today's, because gender is something which we all trying to talk about a lot, and as young people you should be more aware of this, that gender is a socially constructed concept. Now sex is biological. You are born as a male or a female because of your genital. The moment the child is born, you look at the physical features and say whether it's a boy or a girl, right? The moment the child is born. So that is the difference, only the physical differences. But when we talk about gender, it's a social construct which comes. जैसे for example, लड़की हुई, okay, लड़की पैदा हुई तो कहेंगे oh, she has to be fair, she has to be beautiful, and then you say immediately they start giving gifts में किचन का you know सामान appliances देते हैं. फिर आपको you know नहीं थोड़े बड़े हो जाते हैं तो आपको वो beads देते हैं जिससे कि आप ज्वेलरी बनाते हो. फिर आपको टॉयज दिया जाता है. Whereas boys जब होते हैं उनको बुक्स दिया जाता है. ठीक है. So that is the way in which the society slowly starts creating an understanding that you are a feminine or masculine or female or male. That is the social construct. On the basis of that, you find the differences. For example, most of the times in India especially, where there is a patriarchal यानी कि where the male dominance male अभी काफ़ी कम हुआ है, but I will not say that it has disappeared. Okay? Remember one thing, this is very, very important, which I think, all students at this age must understand, that gender inequality is not something which is biological, which is natural. It is socially created. When a child is born, I don't know, I think all of us know this, but कि जब हम एक्सरे के लिए जाते हैं normally, which is actually illegal to get the sex determination test, it's illegal, but sometimes for some medical reasons it happens that you get to know or you this thing. तो उसमें क्या होता है, जब बॉय पैदा होता है they write plus, okay, जब गर्ल पैदा होती है they write minus. Normally people say minus का मतलब घटना और प्लस का मतलब बढ़ाना, but remember, as students in the mathematics, minus is as important as plus. Mathematical calculations में minus is as good as plus, right?
True, ma'am.
Night is as important as day. Imagine अगर पूरा दिन day हो, night ही ना हो, तो when will you sleep, what will you do करके, that is also another problem, right? कोई आदमी बहुत खुश है, खुशी है, उसको दुख का एहसास ही नहीं है, तो that is also life is not exciting, right? So like that, plus and minus are equally important, and we have to consider that differences, that yes, differences are because of physical features, yes, because of those physical features there are certain things which men do but women, ऐसा नहीं है कि that all men are very strong and all women are physically weak, हो ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि some women who go to gym and who eat very healthy food, and somebody who is not able to eat healthy food, a girl can kick the boy, man kick the man also. So physical differences तो कुछ भी नहीं है. And now today you see, observe that all activities, all occupations are occupied by both men and women, but however gender forms a very, very important form of inequality which is present in the society, and it is only from 1970s. Imagine when the civilization began, but it's only from the 1970s that gender as a form of inequality was seen, and it has become a very, very important concept for all of us to understand this form of inequality. I hope I have been able to explain it to you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
All the forms of inequalities. If there is any question, I can answer, otherwise I can move forward.
Ma'am, yes, we can move on.
Okay. Now, there are many thinkers, many sociologists who have used this to, to explain the theories of social stratification. So, concepts, forms, many people have explained the forms in a more detailed manner, and then there are many theories which have been there with, and one of the most important theories as students of sociology is the theory of Karl Marx, Max Weber. There are many more, but I will be just very briefly talking about Karl Marx, because he was the first one who talked about the economic division, society based on economic criteria. That is, he said that one of the most important dimensions, the economic dimensions. Now, Karl Marx was a German sociologist, that is, he belonged to Germany, and Germany, which is very, very close to England. Why do we say why that is important is because the first changes which happened in the society in terms of economic differences was industrial revolution. Many revolutions took place, but industrial revolution very important as far as bringing about economic changes. We all know what was the industrial revolution. Industrial revolution brought about a change of but the labor was replaced by machines. Machines started producing more, and many people were left unemployed. There was a lot of poverty. So all these things were visible in the society. It is around this time that Karl Marx talked about the economic scenes of economic structure, or you can say economic aspects of the society, economic aspects. And he very clearly gave a theory, or rather actually Karl Marx talked about many things, and he is not a sociologist in that sense, but since he talked about social relations, we talk about Karl Marx as one of the important thinker and a sociologist as well. Now, what he said was that in the society is divided in two structures. You understand what the structure is? In the beginning I said that structure means the composition, the way the society is composed, the way the society is made, right. Society has got two structures, the infrastructure and the superstructure. The infrastructure and the superstructure. What do you mean by infra? Infra means the base, the infra, the base on which the things lays, and the superstructures are the above, that is on the base, on top of the base infrastructure. The infrastructure basically consists of two classes, and the infrastructure is the economic structure of any society. So, economic structure is the base on the basis of which the other structures remain. I will explain in a very general terms how to understand Karl Marx. आज के डेट पे all times money is the most important, yes or no? Economic aspect is most important.
Yes, ma'am.
You have money, you have confidence. You, how confidence comes? Eat good food, you look beautiful. You look beautiful, you look confident. You feel confident, okay? You wear good clothes, you wear, you look smart, you feel confident. Okay. So, confidence also comes because of your economic status. This is what Marx says. We all depend on each other, we all have friendships because of the economic relations. Now, imagine there are two friends, one has money, so every day that person A treats B every day with samosa. Okay. Then one day A asks the B कि चलो कैंटीन मेरे साथ बाहर चलो, कहते नहीं मैं नहीं आ सकते, आई हैव टू अटेंड क्लास, आई कांट बंक माई क्लास, आई कांट डू एनीथिंग, आई हैव टू अटेंड. ही सेड व्हाट डू यू मीन, आई थॉट व्हेन आई आस्क यू, व्हेन आई गिव यू समोसा एवरी डे यू ईट, बट नाउ व्हेन आई एम आस्किंग यू डोंट कम. होता है ऐसे जनरली, इट हैपेंस because economic power is the most important power, and Marx says that all relations, all aspects are drawn from economic. It's a very wrong, or rather, I mean, theek hai, that's fine, you're young people, you should not be thinking like that, but when we go for marriages, when we go for a birthday, why do we write our names? Why do we do that? Just to say that, look how much I gave you. That is what is the way in which it happens. That is the power of money and economic. And this is what Karl Marx says. He says that look everything as calculative, everything as something which profit and loss. It is economic dimension which is the most important dimension, and a change in the economic structure of any society leads to a change in the other structures. You have lot of money, people will come running to you. Then slightly you will forget about the caste. You have no money, people will not come to you.
And then they will blame you, you are not from that caste.
Yes. So, yes. What I am saying is Karl Marx, a very eminent person, maybe long time back, but still he is very relevant, and that is what he says, that society is fundamentally divided into two structures, infra, base, and superstructure. So, religion, social, cultural are the superstructure. This infrastructure consists of two classes, those who own the means of production and those who do not own the means of production. यानी कि जिसके पास ownership है और जिसके पास non-ownership है. And it is the relationship between these two which essentially explains the relationship in the society. Those who own and those who do not own. Right?
Right.
For example, there are two people, two carpenters, okay? There are two carpenters. One carpenter who gets, both the carpenters get 100 rupees and 100 rupees. Both get 100 rupees, 100 rupees. But one carpenter A is the owner. So, what he does is, with his 100 rupees, he keeps that 100 rupees for the maintenance of the tools, he manages the shop, he does everything. So, ultimately his profit is only 60 rupees. The other one is getting the wages as 100 rupees. But who belongs to the upper class? The
That owner.
B.
Okay.
Why? Because जिस दिन owner का मन करेगा shut कर देगा तो where will the other person go? So, who is the owner as the power?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
I'll very quickly tell again, carpenter A and carpenter B, A and B. Both of them have 100 and 100 rupees in their pocket. One is the owner. तो ओनर क्या करता है कि वो अपने घर सिर्फ 60 रुपीस लेके जाता है, 40 रुपीस वो क्या करता है कि ही पुट्स इट फॉर मटेरियल, फॉर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल एंड फॉर क्लीनिंग अप ऑफ द एरिया. घर लेके जाता है 60 रुपीस. बट हु बिलोंग्स टू द अपर क्लास? द 60% वाला ओनर. वाई? बिकॉज द डे ही इज कंट्रोलिंग एवरीथिंग. After all, the other person is just working for him for wages, no?
And he get his full 100 rupees.
But the control is with him. Economic control is with him. The day he decides कि भाई ठीक है, you go, I will employ someone else. Instead of one, I'll employ two. I'll give 50 and 50. What can you say? If you want, you can work. If you don't want you to go, you go. Yes. But then who has the command? Who is the control? Economic power?
That A person.
The A person. So therefore, what is important is not the income or the occupation, but the way in which you are related to the means of production. The way in which you are related to the means of production, yani as a owner or as a non-owner. Now, very quickly, around the same time, Max Weber agreed with what Marx said, but disagreed also. So, therefore, it is also very important for us to quickly understand Max Weber as well. Max Weber says that there are 3-dimension sources of power. So, stratification में आपको there are 3 dimensions. Class is one, then status, and then the power, political power. So, you can get power because of economics, class, social status, that is if you belong to the upper caste, yes, you belong to the royal family, yes, or if you have a political power, political party, you are a part of a political party. So, class, status and party. So, unlike Marx, Weber, who was also a German, who also many a times is referred to as the one who modified the Marxian theory or extension of Marxian theory, says very clearly that there are 3 dimensions of social stratification, that is class, status and party. Class economic, status social and party political. So, these are the 3 sources of power. Class is seen more in terms of the market situation here. That is, it is not just the ownership, but what value does your have. Say for example, lawyers, doctors and hunters. So, in the society, who is the most important for the society? Lawyers, doctors or the hunters. So, whoever has the thing will get the more. So, it is the market situation. So, depends upon the position you hold, depending upon that your market value is that. So, Weber, very important, German sociologist, also gave a theory due to maybe we can talk about these theories more in an elaborate manner in the next sessions.
So, we have a short of time, and I am also curious to know, ma'am, what is social mobility?
Yeah, that is very important because social mobility refers to the change in the social position. That is the way in which in the society the positions can be changed. You can change your position through achievement. Now, there are 2 ways in which the status can be acquired. That is, you are born into a particular status or you are achieved a status. So, achieved statuses where you can. So, social mobility means change in the social position. When you combine social position to social stratification, then you see that how you can change or not change, whether the system is very rigid or not very rigid. So, those where there is mobility, movement is referred to as open, Where there is no mobility, there it is referred to as closed or rigid. Mobility means change in the social position. So, in the caste, the structure is fixed, it is very rigid. You cannot change your caste position.
Yes.
You are born into a caste, you remain there. So, it's like it's based on the notion of karma and dharma. आपका कर्म है कि you are born here, and this karma is because of your past deeds. That is why all Hindus are very, very particular about doing good deeds. Why? Because they want a better life next. So, you do something wrong, you will be punished. So, you will be born into a low caste in the next birth. So, that is what the karma is. And dharma is your duty, follow the caste. So, it is that karma and dharma. So, it is your duty to follow the caste. So, caste is a very, very rigid form of social stratification. There is no social mobility. Within the jatis, there is a mobility, but as such the structure remains. Brahmins have been always on the top, and as long as the universe is alive, I think universe is there, exists, the Brahmins will remain on top.
Yes, ma'am.
It's
But
like that.
On a positive note, I think respect is matter. Whatever
Absolutely.
you are belong to.
Yeah. See, you are born, but achievement, as I said, achievement. Your achievements also play a very important role, right? So,
Right.
if you are, so it gives you a chance to achieve. You get into a good position, study, work very hard, get into a very top position, people will respect you, people will come and be your friends, they will love to be interacting with you. So, that is what is the class. So, you can change your class.
Yes.
Mobility, upward mobility, downward mobility, right? Mobility can be upward also, it can be downward also.
Yeah.
So, mobility is also very, very important concept for all of you to understand and relate it to the term social stratification. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Time to wrap up the show, and from deep of my heart, I also want to thanks to you.
Thank you.
मैम का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहेंगे. हमारे साथ प्रोफेसर राज्य लक्ष्मी मैम है, सोशियोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट जानकी देवी मेमोरियल कॉलेज दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय से, और मैम ने आज के हमारे सामाजिक शास्त्र यानी सोशियोलॉजी का जो हमारा आज का टॉपिक रहा, सोशल स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन को बहुत सुंदर तरीके से आप सभी के लिए विस्तृत रूप में बताया. मैम धन्यवाद.
थैंक यू सो मच. थैंक यू.
आप सभी व्यूअर्स का भी कि आप हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं और इस सत्र में आपकी भागीदारी जो है हमें और बेहतर बनाती है. हम कुछ ही मिनटों में आपके लिए एक दूसरा लाइव इंटरेक्टिव सत्र लेकर आएंगे जिसका टॉपिक रहेगा कक्षा 12 के बच्चों के लिए उर्दू का विषय रहेगा फोटोग्राफर. सो क्या है इस सबक में, इसे तो आपको जानने के लिए हमारे साथ अगले नेक्स्ट लाइव इंटरेक्टिव सत्र के साथ भी जुड़ना होगा जो कि कुछ मिनटों में ही बस आपके साथ होगा. या मैं सृजन राजपूत आप सभी से चाहूँगी अनुमति. नमस्कार.